name is Joy Harrington, and I am your host. We are going to talk seasons and specifically spiritual seasons, because understanding the times and the seasons when it comes to your life, when it comes to your business, is not something that most of us are taught, and it actually affects more than you realize. And if you feel stuck, it might be that you're not understanding the times and the seasons, and you're actually getting stuck in one instead of following God's timing in them, because God actually has timing for these seasons. And when you don't know how to follow his cues and how to follow his timing for these seasons, you can delay things. You can get stuck in a certain season. You're not doomed for forever, because he's God and he has backup plans upon backup plans upon backup plans. But we can definitely delay things. We can definitely make it happen slower, right? We can get ourselves stuck in certain things. So first of all, I was talking with a client the other day, and she was saying how she was discouraged about where she was in her business and not feeling inspired and not feeling like she was doing these big things and all of that. And it reminded me to get on here and share openly about seasons, because when we look at Instagram, when we look at social media, when we look at all these people that have businesses similar to ours, when we look at our peers, there's this theme that's happening online right now that it looks like everyone's constantly in harvest season. They're constantly harvesting, no matter what, no matter if they did last month or the month before that. Every single month for them has to be a harvest month, or they feel like a failure, or there's this attitude of it is a failure if you don't harvest every single month. And that's not actually how God works. Anyone who's harvesting every single month is probably not following God with his times and his seasons, because God actually has times and seasons for everything. We know that. Ecclesiastes says there's a time and a season for everything, right? And in order to be actually following God with what he wants you to do, there needs to be these seasons, because he's going to refine you. He's going to bring you new revelation, and he's going to have certain things fall away, right? We're going to keep evolving. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep changing. And those things can't happen when we're constantly trying to live in harvest mode. And a lot of why women feel so tired, they feel so uninspired, they feel so exhausted in their business, is because they're attempting to stay in harvest season 24/7 when that's not the season that they're supposed to be in right now. And I speak from experience. I was someone that really was feeling drained and feeling really, really tired in my network marketing business after I was grinding it out for months and months and months on end. Back in 2019, I began to have health issues. I began to have other things. And I just totally hit my, I can't do this anymore moment. And of course, being me, I was like, you know what? It's just because I'm in the wrong industry. I need to start my own thing. I need to do my own thing. So I launched my podcast, and I jumped into a coaching mentorship / certification and started my own business. And for a while, I was great, right? For a while, I was excited because it was something new and it was something fun, and I was learning and I was doing something that I hadn't done before. But pretty shortly after I switched and pivoted, here comes the exhaustion again. Here comes the drained 24/7 again. Here comes the I'm tired of chasing sales every single month trend that had been my life before. And it would be a while for me to finally realize it's because I was pressuring myself to stay in harvest season every single month. It would be a while for me to realize that that was the problem, right? It was not being willing to allow for seasons in my life and to fully embrace them, because we can also be in a season and we're like, okay, sure, I'll take this season, but I'm just going to keep this little thing, or I'm just going to do this little thing too. And we don't actually embrace the season and let things truly, truly fall apart, fall away, surrender fully to God 100%. And then it's like we miss what that season is supposed to give us. And we just kind of sit in it and kind of halfway, half-ass, right? Until the next season comes, and we're like, great, on to the next season. And we miss the fruit because we don't actually embrace the season. And so a year ago, when we were considering getting pregnant, I remember being so terrified because I knew for a fact it was going to take me into a winter season. I just knew that. I was like, I know being pregnant, not feeling good all of the time. Like I'm going to be more focused on being a mom. I'm going to be more focused on my body. And like a baby is going to totally take time away from my business and my plans. And what about my body? And what about sleeping at night? Right. And all of these things that we think about when we're considering having kids and having babies. And I knew, I was like, I know if I say yes to this, I'm saying yes to a winter season in my business. I am saying yes to going into the ground being laid fallow. Being laid fallow is like a term, right? That they use for like, basically it's not producing. There's nothing there. It looks like it's not producing. It looks basically useless. And I was like, I don't want people to see me and see me as someone that used to be. Oh, she used to be a great coach. She used to be doing big things. But you know what? She went off and decided to have a baby, and who knows what she's doing anymore, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person because I want to have something to show. I want to have something to show, and I don't want to let all of this go. I've worked so hard for this for years. I don't just want to walk away and let it go. But at the same time, I was so tired and I was so drained and I had nothing left to give. So we said yes to having a baby. I remember immediately after we like had unprotected sex being like, oh my God, what did we just do? You know, that moment. But it was too late. And I was pregnant at that point because that's what God wanted. And sure enough, it took me into a winter season. And that winter season was a stretching because here's why. You feel like you're doing nothing. You feel like you're doing nothing. You feel like you're not really growing. You feel like you're not changing anything in your life. You feel stagnant and still. And most of the time, I'm okay with still if it means that I'm still growing or I'm still experiencing something new or I'm still trying something new. But true winter season looks like everything is still and stagnant. You're not growing necessarily. You're not changing. You're not, right? You're just sitting still and trusting. You're just trusting. So that season for me looked like, I mean, I invested in some courses because I was like, hey, I would like to learn. I read books still. I kept showing up online because I wanted to. But literally, it was like, no matter what I tried, nothing changed. No matter what I tried, if I tried to go sell a program, it didn't happen. If I tried to sign up one-on-one clients, it didn't happen. If I, invested in a course to learn, I might have learned some, but nothing really totally changed drastically. And the only thing that changed in that winter season was my body growing a baby. It's the only thing that really changed was my body growing a baby. I loved my kids, loved my husband, loved, being a mom, being a wife, but nothing changed except my body. And that was the hardest, most challenging thing for me because it triggered beliefs in me that said, well, nothing's changing, so therefore you're backsliding, or nothing's changing, so therefore you're not relevant anymore. Well, nothing's changing, so therefore you must not be learning, you must not be growing, and that means you're not valuable, right? All of these things that we subconsciously think to ourselves and we make stories around. And God kept me in that season for most of my pregnancy. It wasn't until like the last month of pregnancy that when I launched the resentment trap, and that was really only because I saw a need. God kind of brought an opportunity. I saw a need and I followed on that. But it was like a small thing, right? It wasn't something huge. And I knew it was just a small thing that would still help people and that God still wanted me to do, but it wasn't this major thing. And then we went into having Sterling and then his passing and everything. And let me just say, when his passing happened, it's like the switch flipped and God, boom, pulled me out of that season. Was like, here you go. You're ready. Like on to the next. And ever since that switch flipped, it's like we went through summer season. I went through spring, summer, and I'm starting to get into fall. Like acceleration happened, quickly went through summer, spring, summer, and I'm starting to get into harvest again. But it's been about a year. It's been about a year since I've been in harvest. Okay. True, like harvest season. So for me, what does that mean? That means that my business, okay, the year before had months where I was making like $50,000 a month. Not every month, but it was several months in 2021. In 2022, most months in my business, I was making between $5,000 and $10,000, which for me is not very much. I get that that's a lot of money, but when you're used to $50,000 months or you're around people that are making six-figure months, it really doesn't seem like a lot when you're making 5 to 10,000. I was basically making enough to like pay for my little extras, pay my employees, right? But not like huge amounts of money. And when you go from making a lot of money to not very much money in your business, you can feel like a failure, especially when you're around people that are making more and more and more and more and more all the time. Or that's the illusion that's being put out there, right? If you're not growing, you're backsliding. If you're not making more, you're like back to making less. And that means that that's bad, or you're failing or something. And I just want to share that for anyone out there who is in a season or being called to a season of winter. I want to vulnerably share that with you so that you know that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. And in fact, following God's order in your seasons will ultimately lead to your biggest fulfillment and your biggest blessing, because you'll actually be following Him in your mission instead of you living according to your plans. And the exhaustion that I had constantly all the time was because I kept trying to make my plans happen in my time, in the seasons that I wanted, rather than following God with His seasons for me. And I was exhausting myself because I was constantly wanting to stay in one season. I was like, no, I will not move on to other seasons, God. Like, I'm staying in this season. Or if I move into other seasons, I'm not really going to move into them fully. I'm not really going to surrender to you fully. So if you're feeling that way and God is calling you to a winter season, take it. Take it, embrace it, let go. And don't mistake a winter and fallow ground for being not valuable, because it's actually laying the foundation for your next harvest. For your next harvest. So with that being said, there's a book that I'm reading right now called The Deborah Anointing. It's really good. And she talks about spiritual seasons. And I'm going to read a little bit about each season to you because I think it might help with you understanding the times and the seasons that God is calling you to. So winter is a time of death to self. No wonder it was so hard for me. It's a time of death to self and what you think is important and what you think you should have and blah, 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 blah. It's literally a falling away season. It's a time when God kills everything in your life that will affect the harvest of the next season in your life. Spiritual winter is the most uncomfortable time for many Christians. However, this is a season to redefine and further develop a relationship with the God of your call. This is when God continues to develop your root system in Him. Spiritual winter is the time for evaluation, planning, and preparation. But even with that, I don't want you to hear that you're supposed to be sitting there every single day planning and evaluating and like prepping and being like, okay, I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for spring, because that's still not like resting in winter. It's a time for letting go of anything that will destroy your call. And here's what she says that I loved. She said, during spiritual winter, it is normal to feel as if everyone else seems to be better qualified and better equipped. Oh my gosh, that was me. So if you're struggling with feeling like, oh my gosh, there's these other people that are so much more qualified, they're so much more equipped, like they know so much more than me, that might be a sign to you that you're in winter. It does not mean that you're not called to that thing. It just might mean you're in a different season. Then she talks about a wilderness experience. She says the wilderness is where you finally meet God. Hosea gives a different picture of the wilderness. And here's the Bible verse. It says, therefore, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. The wilderness is the place you begin to see yourself in the light of His glory. It's where you encounter God and kill the beast of your soul that would hinder the call of God. The wilderness is the place where you die to self. The inclination is to pray harder or more, but you must remain in the season of rest. Oh my gosh. So winter and the wilderness is when you are going to want to do more, even if it's just, well, I'm just going to pray more. I'm just going to meditate more. But God just actually wants you to literally rest. Rest. He will do the work. It's not about you doing. So that's winter. Spring is a time to embrace the call. You will begin to implement the instructions you've gained from spending time with God in the wilderness. Because you've rested and encountered God in the wilderness, you will have fresh, new revelation of God. This newfound revelation will empower you with spiritual and physical energy to break up your fallow ground. There is newfound faith in God's ability to accomplish his calling through you. There is a new desire to be equipped and trained in the calling. There's a new aligning of your heart for your assignment, a new desire for deliverance to remove anything that would hinder the call. It's basically, it says in the spring season, begin to develop a new confidence in the God of your calling. So you're going to start feeling more of a stirring in the spring season where you have new desires, you have newfound faith, you have new revelation from him, from your winter, right? You're going to have new things being stirred up inside of you. Spiritual summer is a time of revelation. And ironically, she says summer is the time that's the most dangerous season because of the heat. Summer is a time of both growth and stillness, hard work in the fields and relaxing in the cool of the day. This is where you learn to balance your natural life and your spiritual calling. It's a time of wisdom and revelation. There will even be opportunity to minister in some level of the call and anointing on your life. So for me, I look back and I'm like, okay, this is when the resentment trap started to come through. I was starting to hit summer, right? Starting to hit summer. I was starting to be able to balance some things. And then I was starting to have some opportunity. You will become confident of what God has called you to do, his purpose. You will be persuaded that the God of the call is able to make sure that his calling is fulfilled in your life. Because she says spiritual summer is when you actually become confident in what he wants you to do instead of scared and instead of intimidated, because you realize it's not about you. It's about him accomplishing it through you. And you're no longer worried about, can I do it? Because you're like, oh, he's going to do it no matter what. I relate so hard to this right now. This is exactly where I am with launching Equipped. Equipped has intimidated me. And in the last couple of weeks, God's like, it's not about you. I'm going to do it through you, period. Like, you don't have to know these things. You don't have to figure out how you're going to do it. You just have to be willing. You just have to be open. I'm going to do it through you, period. And I've become so confident in that I'm able to like launch this and offer this and tell women this is going to be life-changing because I know God is going to do it for them. Spiritual fall is a time of harvest and fulfillment. In this season, you are living with the assurance that the instructions assigned to you in the call of God have been fulfilled or carved out to their fullest expression. And this assurance produces a desire for a reward. You realize that there is a reward for those who complete God's assignment according to his blueprint for their lives. You will also realize that you have kept the faith or remained encouraged and trust in God and his ability to fulfill everything he has declared for your life. You will submit yourself to the price or sacrificial demands of God's call. And from that posture of humility, you will evoke a response from God receiving your reward. So fall to me is like the final surrender where you're like, okay, fine. I will literally surrender in all the ways. Like for me, launching Equipped 2023, I was like, okay, God, I'll do this because you're calling me to do it. But like, what do you want me to price it for? And I thought I kind of heard a number from him and I'm like, no, I'm not okay with that. Like, I'm going to be giving a full year to these women, blah, 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 blah. It needs to be at least like this price. And I was like, I was pricing it at what felt good to me to offer for a year. And God, I was unsure about it. Okay. And I say I was unsure. Unsure means you actually know what God wants you to do. You just don't want to do it. So you're like, well, God, can't I actually just do this? And then you're like, yes, but there's like something in the back of your head that's like nagging you a little bit about it. And you're like, well, we'll see. Can I? Can I? Can I? And you're not totally sure. AKA, you know what God wants you to do. You're just not doing it. And then I sent out the page to the first people to sign up at my pricing, what I wanted to do, and got up the next morning and read this in this book. And I was like, oh, so spiritual fall means submitting fully to God in what he is calling you to do. And it's only when you submit fully to God that you evoke a response from him, which is your reward, right? You evoke that reward from him. So if I'm going to follow God in all of these seasons, all the way up to fall, and then at the very last second, do what I want to do, I'm going to miss my reward because I didn't follow him all the way through to the very end. And God's going to be like, but you didn't listen. You didn't listen. So I can't give you the reward because you didn't do it the way I told you to do it. And he already had things lined up, right, for the way he told me to do it. So I read that and I was convicted. Of course, I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, God, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out to me. And I checked my email, and everyone that I had sent the link to was like, oh, you sent us the wrong link. We couldn't look at the page. And I was like, God, you are too good. You literally protected me from my own rebellion. Let's say that, my own, like, not wanting to listen to you, not wanting to submit fully. So I literally went in, edited the page, changed the price. So what God told me in the first place, and sent it back out. This time with the right link, because fall and getting your harvest means following God all the way through to a T, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And that is how we evoke our reward from him, is doing it fully the way that he has shown us to, because this is his mission for us. So he literally knows the plan. And when we follow him for only part of the plan, we wonder why it doesn't work out, or it doesn't work very well, or it falls apart. And then we blame God when we're the ones that didn't actually follow him through every single season fully. Maybe we followed him fully for the first 2 seasons and then not the last 2. When you want to experience more transformation in your life, more of the miraculous in your life, more of the impact in your life that you know God is calling you to, that means you have to follow him fully in every single season. Every single season, we follow him fully in it and we allow him to direct it. And guess what? It becomes a heck of a lot smoother. A lot smoother. We're the ones making it harder by choosing to only follow him for some of it or part of it, and then step out for part of it and do what we want to for part of it. And then it keeps getting fumbled. And then we go year after year after year with it getting fumbled and getting fumbled and getting fumbled. And we just think there's something wrong with us, or that God's not helping us, or whatever, when it's that he's been trying to give us the plan the whole time and we haven't been following it. But he literally has the plan. He has the plan. He has every single step. He has everything lined up for you. And can he always work things out? Yes. Does he have backup plans upon backup plans upon backup plans? Yes. That's why it's not too late. That's why it is not too late for you to try again and to go again. So my encouragement to you today with this podcast is to embrace the season that God is calling you to tell you that everyone has seasons, including myself, including all those big names that you're watching, and to encourage you that it is not a failure to not be in harvest every single season. And on the contrary, the only way to grow and level up and really step into this mission that God has for you, and to continue following him faithfully in that, where he will take you from glory to glory to glory, from thing to thing to thing, is to embrace the seasons that he is pulling you into, that he is leading you through. You need these seasons. This is where fresh revelation comes through. This is where you grow. This is where things fall away. This is where you become equipped for the next thing that's coming. So don't fight the seasons. Lean into the seasons, because that's where you're going to level up. That's where God is going to call you into a deeper thing, into more, into a bigger assignment. So embrace the seasons. You're not alone. I've had them. I've been in them. I'm walking through them still with you. And if this resonated with you and you are like, oh my gosh, I need to learn about this, join Equipped 2023. Equipped 2023 is the program that God is calling me to offer women right now. It's going to help them heal fully from trauma, because right now women are stuck trying to heal and they're never actually finding that deliverance that they seek. So God wants to fully help women actually heal and change their state of being, help their kids do the same thing, help break generational chains, generational trauma that's being passed on, help align us in our marriages to bring order and blessing and abundance, and have your marriage become the union that God designed it to be. And also your mission, your / business, have that be brought online. So Equip 2023 is to help women holistically in all of these aspects, because you're not just a mom, you're not just a wife, you're not just a business owner, you're all of them. And God wants you to do these things with excellence. He wants us to walk in these with excellence and with the right tools to actually live in the freedom that He's calling us to, and to live in the impact that He's calling us to, and the mission that He has for us here. And so it's going to help you with all of those things. It's definitely a stretch for me, and I'm so freaking excited because I know that God is working through me and God is calling women to this right now. There is a massive uprising with women that I know across the board, all feeling called to more, called to follow God in this way. And that's what this program is for. It's a year-long mentorship with me. There's going to be 2 calls a month. There's going to be a live event. And I would just encourage you, if you feel called, if you feel nudged, to follow that calling. There's an application you can apply. The link is in my Instagram bio. My Instagram is @joyharrington.ig. I would love to see you in the group. It's going to be a wild ride. And we are for sure going to be talking about seasons and how to be showing up as a wife and a mother and a business owner and honoring the seasons that God is calling us to, so that we can actually live the impact out in the way that He wants us to live it out, and not keep fumbling and missing out on that influence and impact that He wants us to have. All right. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you loved it, take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram. Would love to hear your takeaway or what season that you are in. Otherwise, I will see you back on the show next week.